Good. So we'll come to a comfortable seated or kneeling position, just somewhere where you can be upright and comfortable, steady. You could have a back against a wall or, yeah, against a settee. That's a good idea. Or you could be sitting in a chair if you'd rather. Just somewhere where you can be comfortable for the next 8 minutes or so. Just feel that connection, feel into the ground. Just allow yourself to have that Apana feeling of sinking down, of that downward moving energy, that one that really helps to connect us. And then from those firm foundations, we've got a nice light spine rising up, spacious into the spine, as if we'd been drawn up through the crown of the head. So we're connected with the sky above and the ground below. And then just lift the sternum very slightly, allow the shoulders to settle down, taking the arms and the hands into a relaxed place onto the lap, onto the knees, wherever. And those eyes are very softly closed. Checking in with the jawline, relaxing and releasing. Releasing the tongue, just letting it rest lightly behind the top teeth. The space between the back teeth. And let that softness travel up to the temples, to the forehead, the eye sockets. So we are at once steady, but also comfortable and flowing. Find that flowing sensation into the breath. Feeling the gentle movement of the body as you breathe. Noticing whereabouts you feel your body moving as you breathe. Where do you feel the breath within the body? And our Vayu for this week. Vayus are part of the pranamaya kosha, this energetic layer. It's called Samana. Samana, S-A-M-A-N-A. And it's that place between the prana breath and the apana breath. As you breathe in, that's the prana breath. Little pause at the end of the inhalation, that's samana. And then the exhalation, apana, letting go. So breathe in fresh energy, fresh breath, fresh oxygen. We pause a moment, and this is at the Manipur chakra. And then we exhale downwards, down through Svadhisthana, down through Muladhara, down into the ground, releasing. So carry on in that way, this three-part. The prana is anahata at the heart and vishuddhi at the throat. The samana is that midway point at Manipura, just above the navel. And then the apana is the downward force from there into the earth. And that pause can be a split second, or if you're comfortable with pausing, you may like to lengthen the pause. And what happens at Samana is that it does the job of the Manipura, so it's digesting, it's assimilating. We bring in fresh prana, which doesn't just come from the breath, it comes from the food that we eat, and it comes from our experiences. And it all comes down into the engine room. And the good bits we keep, and the bad bits we offer to Apana to take away. The bits that we no longer need from our experiences, from our food and from our breath, Apana takes that away. So today we're working with the Manipura chakra, and we can either think of it as the fire that burns, that creates this assimilation. Or it has been described as a pendulum, a sideways movement of light, like the swinging of a pendulum from right to left, left to right. And if that speaks to you, then perhaps having that visualization. So either a fire or this pendulum. And then for a moment, we'll release those three parts of the breath and just come back to a natural roll, a natural wave. Just noticing and then drop the chin very gently down towards the chest. And softly open the eyes, but with a very fuzzy gaze. So not focusing properly in. And then without disturbing yourself too much, just come to lying down onto your back. Come to a semi-supine position, first of all, and just nestle the lower back down, the space between the shoulder blades. The knees are bent and the feet flat onto the floor to begin with. Having all this connection with the ground. And then gently draw the knees towards the chest. Have a little rock from hip bone to hip bone if you like. Ease out that lower back. Okay, lovely. So we're going to start tonight's physical part of the practice with some full body stretches. When we do a full body stretch, the arms can go overhead or they can stretch towards the feet if that's more comfortable. So first of all, lengthening the legs along the mat. With the arms down by the sides. And then with an inhalation, whenever you're ready, stretching the arms away in a way that's right for you. Push away through the heels. And then as you breathe out, perhaps sighing the breath away, letting the arms come down, that sense of apana. So we're breathing in, and that's the prana coming in just when you're ready. There's no rush with these rounds. Have that pause, the samana, and then breathe out, and that's apana, bringing you back down, releasing, letting go. Then doing the third round whenever you're ready. And whenever it is you've completed those rounds, then rest for a moment in this position, and then whenever you're ready, just draw the knees towards the chest. Have both knees together and draw circles, keeping the knees close together and the feet together. So you're drawing circles into the lower back. And then take those circles in the other direction. With a hand on each kneecap, then take the knees away from each other, circling around and back towards each other. Getting some movement into those hip sockets. And then reversing the direction as you're ready. And then bring those knees to stillness and let the left foot float down to the ground. Keep the right knee onto the body and just let it come sort of more towards the armpit than towards the center of the chest. And hold on to that leg, either onto the back of the thigh or onto the shin. And then bring some movement to the ankle, do a bit of pointing and flexing. Some circling. Making sure you go in both directions. And the foot still comes to stillness. We're going to exhale, just draw that knee towards you slightly. And then inhale, stretch the leg up so that the heel's going up towards the sky. As you exhale, fold the knee back towards you. Gather it in. Inhale and stretch the leg up towards the sky. Exhale, draw the knee back towards you. Inhale, stretching up, and then locking the navel and the pelvic floor. Exhale, lower the leg down to the ground, bending the knee or keeping the leg straight, whichever is right for your back. And then whenever that heel comes to the ground, just slide it back to that semi-supine position. Settle the back down, settle between the shoulder blades. And then this time we'll draw the left knee towards the body, a bit more towards the armpit than towards the center of the chest. And then pointing and flexing the foot a few times. And circling those toes around a few times one way and then the other. And bring the foot to stillness. As you next exhale, draw the knee towards you slightly. Inhale, stretch the leg up towards the sky, push away through the heel. Exhale, draw that knee back down. Inhale, stretch it up. Exhale, draw the knee down. Inhale, we'll stretch up and then locking in navel and pelvic floor, lowering the leg down, bending the knee if you need to keep that lower back safe, if that's the right thing for you. Then as that heel comes to ground, again, draw both knees towards the chest, just have a little ease out, or maybe even stretching out, whatever feels like the right thing for you to do. And then we're going to go for a little rotation in the spine. So have both feet onto the floor about hip width apart. And then just letting the knees fall from side to side by just a few inches. So you're not moving very far. One buttock almost comes off the floor and then the other. So if it was a metronome, it'd be tick, tock, tick, tock sort of speed. And only moving by a few inches. So just getting the lymphatic system moving and letting the back know that there's going to be something required of it in a moment. And then we'll come to stillness with the knees. Take a breath in, take the arms away from you a little way. And then with an exhalation, the knees go over to the right. You could take the gaze down the left arm if you wish. And then we use an inhale and a tuck into the navel, the pelvic floor to lift back to center before we go to the other side. And a lift back to center. So we're doing this 2 or 3 more times to each side. Just working in your own time, in your own way. If you find that you'd like to work a little deeper, that your back's ready for that, you could bring the knees towards the chest. It's all entirely up to you as to where you feel is right for you at the moment. And perhaps finishing the round that you're on and then maybe doing 2 more rounds. When you next come up from the left, or whenever you've completed enough rounds for you this evening, and just come to stillness or stretching in a way that is instinctual to you. And we're going to roll over onto one side and just come to almost a fetal position with the knees drawn up. The bottom hand wraps around the shoulder and the bottom hand goes underneath your cheekbone. And here, come to your breath. And then from here, we're going to make our way onto all fours. So you may like a blanket underneath those knees. I've got a bit of an ouchy wrist this evening. But I've got a bit of an ouchy shoulder and it's going all the way down my arm into my wrist. So I'm using my cork wedge for my hands. If you ever feel ouchy, you can come onto the fists or come onto blocks or something, but these cork wedges are great. They've got a little tiny bit of give in them. So all these trainings that I'm doing at the moment, they are numerous. I've always taught to have the hands further away and further apart because that really suits me. And I understand the line of energy there, and I really think that it makes sense. But the trainings I did this weekend with 2 different people said, try having the hands underneath the shoulders. Now, I'm not going to prescribe that because I don't think that's good for your elbows. But what I will say is just have a faff around and see what works for you and put your hands where you like them, where you feel you're safe, supported and comfortable. And then, but always practice with the arms slightly flexed at the elbows, so never with tight elbows, always slightly flexed. So we'll do a few rounds of cat here. So we're breathing in as usual and softening the tummy, opening the chest, shoulders down, gently raising the chin. And breathing out, drawing in. So feel that Manipura drawing in. As you arch the spine, drop the chin down. So we can easily come back to that 3-part breath, that prana breath, that inhalation, that drawing in. And then that pause at the top of the inhalation, the samana. And then as we breathe out, allowing the apana, the release. Doing a few gentle rounds, just as it suits you. And when you come to the end of your next exhalation, you can sink your hips back so you come to a child's pose. You may like to have the knees wide apart and sink the chest down. You may prefer to have the knees together and have the arms in a comfortable place for you. And if you ever find that child's pose isn't right for you, you can come to lying down your tummies. You could lie on your back with your knees in. Just make it work for you. Coming back to the breath in this very primal, connected position. And then we're gently going to come up. We're going to be making our way to standing. So if you have socks on, just slip your socks off. And then a really good way to come to standing from this position is to just Come on to the flexed toes, lift the knees up, bring the fingertips towards you, and then like lever up through those legs. And then we'll just come up. So make sure that you've just taken everything off your mat that you don't need. So we're going to just find Tadasana, but not come fully into it. So just bringing in the physicality, those two lines of energy, the arms down by the sides, the tuck into the navel, and the pelvic floor, the softness in the knees, the lift in the sternum, and the softness in the shoulders. Just take the awareness to the soles of the feet and see how they feel. See how your center of gravity is. Because we're going to have a little play around. And just noting that awareness. And then we're going to take the weight very slightly over to the outside of one foot and the inside of the other without taking any part of your foot off the floor. Take the weight forward so it goes onto the balls of the feet without taking the heels off the floor. Over to the other side of the feet. And then back onto the heels. Maybe the toes come off, but the balls stay onto the ground. And we just carry on in this way, gently, slowly circling. Keep the arms relaxed. Tuck into the pelvic floor to keep that inner strength. And when you next come to your heels, reverse the direction without falling backwards. We're going to come to the center. So just naturally, without thinking, find a center. Just bring in those bandhas, make sure they're connected. They're not tight, but they're connected. And then we're gently going to take the weight backwards and forwards. So just onto the balls of the feet, keep the heels on the ground. Then onto the heels, keep the balls of the feet on the ground, but the toes may lift slightly. Do this a few times. Notice what's happening with your breath. And then again, just relax into a center. Lighten through the spine. You can softly close the eyes now if you wish. Or just have a steady gaze, that drishti. And then come back to the three parts. Breath in. Upper part of the body, the pause at the Manipura, and then the release down into the ground. And then release that three part, just come back to a natural wave of breath, natural roll of breath. See how you feel. Feel into body and mind and breath. and heart center. Okay, so hopefully you feel really nice and grounded now. Let's just take the weight onto the right foot and come onto the left toes. So we're going to circle around onto the toes. So the heel's off the ground. The motion is into the ankle, but there's lots of weight going through that upper arch into the toes and then into the balls of the toes, round and round. And go back the other way. So on a reflexology point of view, this is actually the upper part of the body. This is from the diaphragm upwards. And then we'll place that foot onto the ground. See how that leg feels. And then go to the other side. So just circling around on those toes. And then go the other way. Release into the ground, see how that feels for the moment. Okay, so our next one, you may like to place a hand onto a nearby solid object. I'll show you what we're going to do. Take the weight down through the right leg. We're going to make sure that the hip is in, and then we're going to take the arms out and then just circle the leg around. So if you need a hand on the wall, then do. So you can follow me now. Tuck in the navel as you do. It's quite fun to do these. Well, I'm bobbling because I'm watching you. Then go the other way. Trick is to not watch things that are moving. And then bring that foot to the ground. Bring the arms down. Have a little feel into that. And then we'll take the weight onto the other leg. So of course we don't want it sticking out. We want that hip in so we grow up there. Take the arms out, or you've just got a hand onto something, maybe even just a fingertip, that can help. Tuck in the navel, pelvic floor, that drishti point, something that's not moving. And then go the other way. So all of these actions are really good for getting the lymphatic system going. And let's place that foot onto the ground. You can tell she's doing training, can't you? And then the arms come floating down. Okay, now we're going to get into the hips a little. So we're going to soften the knees. And because no one's watching you, and I'm not going to watch you, I'm going to look somewhere else. We're going to really circle those hips. So do small circles first of all. Just small circles. You can put as much into this as you like. If I look into the camera, then I don't look like I'm looking at you, but I'm not. And then you can slowly start to spiral out, making them bigger and bigger. Keep those knees really soft. Move the shoulders a bit. You want to do whatever you like. And then just gently start to make them a bit smaller. In and then until eventually it's quite a minute, deep feeling, and then gently stop. And then guess what? We go the other way, starting small. Those knees soft at all times. Keep the arms and the hands relaxed. And making them bigger and bigger. You'll soften the face, the eyes, the lips. Try and enjoy it, even if this is like, oh my goodness, can't believe what we're having to do tonight. And then gently we'll make them smaller again. And come to stillness. Pause a moment. Okay, so then we're going to carry on with rotations. Take the feet just a little wider. Soften those knees, nice and bouncy, bouncy knees. And then start to, so make sure you're not going to bash into anything, by the way. Just gently swinging, taking the head with it. Bouncing the knees. And then we're going to just take the arms a little higher so that they come around the back of the waist. So really getting into Manipura here. Helping that digestive process. And then we're going to bring the arms up to the chest level and bend the elbows and have little fists. Keep the knees soft. Keep the head going. Now, as we start to take the arms down, I'd like you to try and keep the head still, but keep the body going. So they come back to that mid-range. And then bring them down by the hips again. Keep those knees bouncy, bouncy. The head still. And then gradually come to a still place. That is really good at getting those chakras spinning. You should feel the energy, the prana, the warmth. And it's excellent for the lymphatics. And I did a class just before this one. I did one. I went to one. And what we did was we did this, but she said, keep your head still. And then that gets into the neck lymphatics. So we've done pretty much all the way up now. So that's really good. Okay, so what are we doing next? We're working gradually into doing sun salutes, which I'm slightly cautious of this evening. So you might be doing them with me instructing and not doing them with you. We'll see how we go. But first of all, just do a little bit of energy, because I like a little bit of energy work. So the feet are just slightly wider than the hips, and just soften those knees down. Take the arms. We're going to just clench the hands and draw the elbows back as you breathe in. And you can just bend those knees a little more, so that's a breath in. And as you breathe out, push away through the heels of the hands, bottoms out behind you. And then you gather up into your fists, you breathe in and draw the elbows back. Breathe out, and we're going to push away. Do this a few times. We normally do the breath through the nose in yoga, the inhale and the exhale, but in this one, when we're working so forcefully with energy, it's quite nice to just purse the lips and go with that exhale. A few more times. And then float the arms down as you breathe in and straighten up. I'm going to give the shoulders a really good roll around. Releasing. Okay, good. Let's take that circle out a little further. So take the arms out to the sides, tuck the navel in, soften the knees, just little circles with the palms face upwards, take them backwards. Liven up these arms a bit, get them working. And then forwards a little way. A few times. Good. And then we'll come to stillness. We'll turn palms down. A few circles going backwards. And then a few circles going forwards. And release. And again, you might like to circle those shoulders around, or you could bring the fingertips to the shoulders and just open up with the inhalation and curl around with the exhalation. Just see what your body would rather do here. Just to release out through the arms and the shoulders. Let it be instinctual. And then we'll release and soften the knees and just come to a gentle forward fold. So take the bottoms out behind you so you curl from here, coming down. And you could come to halfway if you wish. You can come a little further down. Just rest the hands wherever they're comfortable to be. Let the head nod down and just spend a couple of moments, a couple of breaths. Then bend the knees a little more. Bring the torso onto the thighs if you can. Engage the feet, engage the legs. Breathe in and just gently curl up. Back up to standing. Okay. Right, so we're going to go into sun salutes. We'll do a round. I think everybody's all right here tonight going to the floor. Is anybody who wants to use a chair instead? If there is, just give me a wave. I can't see anyone. You don't know. You don't know. Okay. Well, you make your own mind up. You know what you're doing with the chair anyway, don't you? Yeah. So that's okay. So don't demonstrate. If you're watching this on the recording, there are demonstrations on the website. Just have to put that in. Okay, so let's come to, actually I might, no, that wouldn't be any better for my wrist. Let's come to the short edge of the mat. We'll do a round with me talking at you, and then we'll have a pause where I'll just check in. If you, and I know a couple of you are, well, more than a couple of you are actually, several of you are really familiar with sun salutes and you'd like to go at your own pace, then do. You don't have to follow me if you don't want to. Just practice safely. So ground down through the feet, nice and tall, lift the sternum, shoulders down, bring the hands to the heart center and just come to your breath. If it's suiting you, you could come to that three-part breath. Noting the pause at the end of the inhalation, if that suits you. And then we'll all take a preparatory breath in and a breath out. As we breathe in, we're going to reach up and touch the sky. As we breathe out, we're going to fold down. So you could either come to halfway or you're coming all the way down with those hands. A step back with the right foot and the knee comes down to the ground if comfortable. If it's not, it could hover. And then we're going to step the left foot back so we come to a down dog. If that's not right for you, you could come to all fours instead. And from here, we're going to make our way down to the ground. So bring your knees down and then come down so that The bottom is sticking up into the air and the chin's on the ground. That's a traditional 8-point pose. Now, tuck the chin in, flatten the body onto the ground, push through the hands and go up into cobra. So elbows are bent, you eventually lift the chin, the chest is open, shoulders down. Tuck the toes under, we're going to lift up into a downward dog or come back onto all fours if that's better for you. Now we're going to step the left foot through. If you find that that's not accessible to you this evening, you could walk the feet forward instead, and then we'll all come to a forward fold. Bend the knees, push to the feet, breathe in and lift up. Stretch up towards the sky. Breathe out, fold down, soften the knees, bottoms out, let yourself come down. Step back with the left foot. Knee can come to the ground or hover just above. Bring the right foot back so you're into a downward dog. And then lower down to the ground, knees, chest, chin. Flatten yourself to the ground, lift up into cobra. Chin comes up last, that just helps you to keep the strain out of the neck, and then tuck the toes under, lift up into downward dog or into all fours. And then we're going to bring the right foot through this time. So right foot through, or you're walking the feet forward if that's not accessible to you. And the left foot through, so into a forward fold. And the knees, breathe in, push to the legs and lift up, stretch up, and bring the hands to the heart and just rest for a moment. Okay, so is everybody all right with everything? Does anybody need any modifications that you don't know if you need any modifications? Get your check if you need one. Okay, so we're going to go for 2 more rounds. If at any time you find that this isn't right for you this evening, then just come down and do a few rounds of cat or a little bit of child's or whatever you feel like. No strain, no going beyond an edge, no pain, nothing like that. It's to be enjoyed as a sun salute if you possibly can do. I know for some people it's not, for some of us we love it. Start off with the hands at the heart again then. And remember, you don't have to follow me if you know what you're doing. You're familiar with it. So take a breath in and a breath out. Breathe in, stretch up. Breathe out and fold forward. Bend the knees as you do, protecting your back. Step that right foot back, bring the knee down or hover. Bring the left foot back, so come to downward dog. There's always the option of being on all fours. And then we're down onto the ground. Swoop up into a cobra. Back up into a down dog. Step the left foot through or walk the feet towards the hands, and then bring the right foot through, forward fold. Breath in, lifting up. Breathe out, fold down. I'm going to take the left foot back this time. Then bring the right foot back into downward dog. Lowering down to the ground, knees, chest, chin. Lift up into a cobra. Back into downward dog. Step the right foot through or walk the hands. Bring the left foot through, forward fold. Breathe in, push to the legs, lift, stretch up, and we'll go straight into round 3 if you're with me. Breathing out, folding down. Stepping back with the right foot as we breathe in. As we breathe out, we come to down dog, and then all the way to the ground. Breathing in up to cobra. Breath out as we lift up into downward dog. We're stepping the left foot through or walking the feet forward if that's preferable. Bring the right foot through, forward fold. Take a breath in and lift and stretch. Exhale, folding down. Left foot back. Right foot back into down dog. Lowering down to the ground. Up into cobra. Into downward dog. Stepping the right foot through this time. Left foot comes through, forward fold. Breathe in and lift up. And then breathe out, bring the hands to the heart. When you're ready, and pause. It's coming to body, breath, heart center. Allowing the practice to settle. And then release the arms down by the sides, facing the long edge of your mat, and take the feet a little wider apart. And with a breath in, we're going to stretch up towards the sky. With a breath out, we're going over to the right, stretching to the right, opening up the left side of the body. Breathe in, engage the navel and come to center. Exhale to the other side. Breathe in, engage and come to center. Breath out, soften the knees and fold forward. So you can come to halfway if you like with the hands and the thighs, or bring them down to the ground. And then as you breathe in, twisting right, hand to waist or extending up. You can look up if that's okay for your neck. Exhale, float the hand down. Inhale, we'll go to the other side. Exhale, bring the hand down. Soften the knees, breathe in and lift. Stretch up again, back up to the sky. Exhale over to the right. Breath into the center, locking in as you go there. Breath out to the other side. Breath into the center. Breath out, folding, softening down. Keep those knees soft as you go, protecting your body. Twisting to the right with the inhale. Back to the center with the exhale. Twisting to the left with the inhale. Exhale back. Soften the knees, push to the feet. Breathe in and lift, stretching up. We'll go for a last round, so we'll exhale to the right. Breathe into the center. Breathe out to the other side. Breathe into the center. Breath out as we fold down. Twist to the right as you're ready. Softening down with the exhale, that's Apana, isn't it? Coming back down, breathing in, lifting with the prana breath. Pause, exhale down with the Apana. Then breathe in and lift. Stretch up and then let the arms float down by the sides. Zigzag those feet in. And then pause. Come back to that 3-part breath for a moment, perhaps closing the eyes if you wish. And then releasing the 3-part breath. And it's time for relaxation. So, popping warm things on and gathering comfortable things. Just coming to a place that's suitable for you this evening. If you like to have your legs up, you can place them onto a bed or a sofa or a chair, making sure that the lower legs are supported if you are doing that. Or you may like to place a pillow or a bolster underneath the knees. If you like using an eye covering, then gather one of those as well. You may be comfortable having the legs outstretched and have them on the floor. Whatever feels like the right thing for you to do. And of course, they can be bent with the knees coming towards each other, if that's okay for your lower back. Whatever. This is your relaxation. Find your space, find your place. We're lying down. Okay, and then having the arms wherever feels comfortable for you. It's not prescriptive, just wherever. Just tuck the chin in slightly so the back of the neck is lengthened. And if you're not using an eye covering, then just have the eyes very softly closed. And just allowing everything to release. So we're coming back to that 3-part breath with the Apana as the release. So every out breath now. Every out breath, we're letting go. The softening toes. Softening the soles of the feet. We're releasing the ankles, the calf muscles, the knees, the thighs. We're allowing the pelvis to soften, releasing the buttocks. The fingertips, fingers, thumbs, soft into the palm of the hand, each hand. Releasing into wrists, forearms, elbows and upper arms. The shoulders, the collarbones, rib cage. And the back softens down into the ground, and as it does so, then the belly can release, so the tummy is soft. allowing that samana to do its work. Sun salutes fired up Manipura nicely. Fire or the pendulum. The throat is open, allowing the breath to flow. Releasing the jawline, the lips, the tongue. There's a gap between the back teeth. Feel the throat softening. Cheekbones, the eye sockets, the temples, the forehead. The whole body released into the ground with each out-breath. And each out-breath is allowing whatever your body, mind, and heart center and breath have decided that you no longer need. Letting it drain away into the earth. Allow the body and mind and heart center and breath to soften now. Notice areas habitually gripping and allow the breath to release and to let go. Imagine the Samana Vayu taking tension, burning it up, metabolizing and then releasing. Each breath is an opportunity to release more, to settle, relaxing the tissues, the bones, the joints. Softening the expression and drawing the senses inward. Breath of life by Dana folds. I breathe in all that is. Awareness expanding to take everything in, as if my heart beats the world into being. From the unnamed vastness beneath the mind, I breathe my way to wholeness and healing. Inhalation, exhalation. Each breath a yes and a letting go, a journey and a coming home. Very gently come back to the sensations of the body on the ground. That sense of being held by the ground beneath you. The sensations of breath, of sounds within your room, sounds beyond your room. And gradually starting to bring a little movement into the body. Perhaps taking the tip of the thumb across the tips of the fingers. Twiddling the toes. Maybe running the tongue around the mouth. And then perhaps extending that movement into ankles and wrists. Perhaps taking the head gently from one side to the other. Be mindful of any eye covering you may have on. And whenever you feel ready, having a little stretch perhaps, perhaps not. Maybe drawing the knees in. And if it feels right for you this evening, perhaps coming back to that fetal position, lying on one side with the bottom arm just wrapped around the shoulder and the top arm hand just underneath the cheekbone. Just resting there for a moment if that feels right. You don't have to do that. It is optional. It's not for everybody. Giving the body a chance to acclimatize. And then from this position, we can use that top hand underneath the cheekbone to gently push into the ground and lever us gently up. And keeping those eyes softly closed if you'd like to, and perhaps practicing palming, rubbing those hands together briskly, creating warmth. Cupping them over the closed eyes whenever you're ready. And allowing those eyes to blink open into that safe, warm space before allowing light to trickle in through the fingers and eventually drawing the hands away. Okay, good. Oh, so we're going to complete our practice by chanting the mantra Om 3 times. Nice and tall in the spine. And of course, you can always do this silently if your space isn't comfortable for you to chant out loud in. Let's take an inhalation. Om. 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 Namaste.